Hey there, did my presentation on Google Glass. That is Google's own head-mounted computer augmented reality technology. Now, Google Glass was originally supposed to look, well, this is what people kind of thought it looked like. They made fun of it. In essence, that's really what it is. It's just it's kind of like taking a smartphone and strapping it to your head, because it's giving you everything that you could ever want in a smartphone, and just putting it right in front of your eye. Now, the actual glasses here, these they're actually pretty cool looking, I think. These are what it's called the Google Glass Explorer Edition glasses. Now, they were only really made for developers, and as such, they were only sold initially to developers that wanted to go and make applications for them. They weren't really weren't ready yet to be made to be a mass market product that everyone would purchase, but this really was the first iteration of it, kind of like a pre-alpha, because it wasn't even truly ready for developers yet. Here's a really cool picture I like, because it really showcases what the technology can do. So here we have someone, they're right in front of you. What the glasses is doing is it's using facial recognition technology to find out, this is, in this case, the person's friend, some notes about him, and then you can go to his Facebook profile right there. So it's got a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it, that makes it a lot different than a smartphone, because smartphone, obviously, you'd have to go and actually physically hold up, whereas this is going to be mounted, on your head, because they're a pair of glasses. Now, the timeline of Project Glass, which is the original name for it, goes as follows. So, April 4th, 2012, Google announced Project Glass on their social media website, Google+. That's when Google Glass 2, they were trying to push that into becoming the next big thing. So they thought this would be a great idea to announce their own product as well, because this is supposed to kind of take the world by storm. Just a couple months later, they actually officially announced the Google Glass to the developers and everything at their annual I/O conference. Now, Google always kind of announces some cool tech at this, but nobody really knew that this technology was coming out there, and that it was going to be going on sale that day, well, for pre-order that day, for those that were interested in picking up a pair. Now, February 20th, they actually went, and so this is just a few months later, so even though initially Google told the people that it was going to be for developers and it wasn't really ready to go anywhere else at the time, they did go and open up applications to get Google Glass up to everyone. Just for a short bit, though. They wanted to go and kind of gauge the public's interest and just get some feedback on it. Now, I actually put a video, the video that they announced Google Glass with. It's actually a really, really cool video. What they did is they had people skyrocketing down from an airplane, and then they were wearing, or skydiving down. They were wearing the Google Glass, so you could kind of see it firsthand as them skydiving, and it really showcased what the technology can do. A few months later, April 16th was a big day, 2013, because the hardware was finally able to be picked up. So the people that went and pre-ordered and paid for the Google Glass Explorer Edition, they actually weren't able to actually pick it up and finally use it now until April. So this is somewhat amount of time later. Google did this because they were not shipping the devices out. So with Google Glass, you had to go and pick it up in either California or New York and actually sit through a mandatory meeting to learn about how to use the technology, because they wanted everyone to go and be well versed with it before they started to try and make applications and everything. And I think that's really interesting that they went and they did that just to showcase how important this technology is. May 31st was kind of a sad day in the history of Glass, because May 31st, Google announced that they were going to start pulling facial recognition software from the store. They did this because there started to be a lot of privacy concerns at that time about facial recognition and what you can and could do with it. It actually even allowed, using the camera, you're actually able to go and pick up just anybody's password, because with the camera constantly on and just being able to view everything, it could trace the patterns that a person's finger makes, and then find unlock codes for people's phones, passwords if they're typing them into websites, all just from the camera. Next significant update would be December 19th of 2013. This time, Google Glass officially became supported on for Apple devices, Apple iOS devices, the iPhone. This is big because, as many people know, the Google is all about Android. It's their own operating system, and it's competition to iOS. So they really wanted to branch out as much as possible with Google Glass. So they went and actually made the companion app for iOS devices, even though they are directly competing with them. As time moves on, Google Glass goes and kind of starts getting into a little bit of trouble. Some privacy issues, they start to keep coming up more as the technology is seen a little bit more in public and people are starting to learn about it. February 22nd was a little significant because bar fight happened as a result of Google Glass, and a wave of businesses they start to ban the technology because of that. After hearing that it was causing people to fight and everything, they just felt like they didn't want that kind of environment. People didn't like being recorded, really. They didn't like knowing that someone had a camera on them at all times. April 15th, so just a couple months after that, Google released, so they updated the operating system of Google Glass to KitKat, which would sound like a good thing. However, KitKat was very bugged and actually caused most of the headsets to brick, so they would stop working, and ruined a lot of people's experiences with the hardware. After that, it kind of continued to go downhill for Google Glass, unfortunately. In October, Twitter, they revoked their support of it, and they took their apps off and said they would no longer be supporting Google Glass technology. After that, there's articles posted about developers kind of abandoning the technology left and right. They didn't have hope for it. They didn't see it becoming the next big technology anymore, with all the security and privacy flaws that everyone kept bringing up and all the bad publicity. People just started to leave Glass and think of it as something that could have been but never would. At Google's last effort, they went and they actually hired the CEO of Nest, and that's a company that makes smart appliances for homes. So he was well versed in smart technology and everything. He took over the project, but he actually ended up leaving it just a couple months after starting it. So that was that's really what happened with Glass. After that, the project was really abandoned as far as like the public knows. I mean, I think there's definitely something that Google's still working on, but right now it's really not certain. Google has recently released the Daydream View. Now this is a little bit different, but somewhat the same. The Daydream View is Google's it's a virtual reality headset. This is still, it's kind of similar in that it's another head-mounted display. However, the Daydream View is simply just a holder, so it still needs a smartphone, and it's providing virtual reality as opposed to augmented reality, which augmented reality actually uses the real world and its surroundings to pull in data and give you information, such as the first slides there that I was showing you. After Daydream, the only other thing really that kind of shows still signs of Google Glass would be Google's new operating system, Tango. So Tango is an augmented reality operating system similar to Android. The main difference, though, is that with Tango, a device running Tango can sense where it is in the world without using GPS. This is really important for augmented reality technology because one of the biggest things that really kind of even smartphones today have trouble with is navigating inside buildings and such. With Tango, without a connection, it's still able to know where it is. So stuff like navigating inside a mall, a Tango device would be able to go and do, and just because it will know exactly where it is, and can use the sensors and everything just from that to go and give you an augmented experience. Well, that was my presentation. I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks.